You know, Yankee Stadium is located about 6 miles from the campus of Fordham University. So it may seem strange that Michael Kay had to travel 3,000 miles for a school reunion. But when the alum you're going to see is Vin Scully, no distance is too great. Michael talks with the legendary Dodgers broadcaster now, and we have the pleasure of listening in.
Well, thank you, Chris. It is my honor to be here with Vin Scully. I call him the voice of baseball. The Dodgers kind of take total credit for him. 61 years at the Dodger mic. But I think the secret, if I can be so bold, is that we both went to Fordham. Fordham is why you're here, right?
Well, absolutely. One of the big reasons anyway, because among other things, of the FM station on campus. That certainly was a springboard in the right direction.
Now, is it apocryphal, or did you actually go from WFUV right to the Dodger booth?
No, I went from WFUV on the Fordham campus to WTOP in Washington, D.C. That was a 50,000-watt station. It was a flag station for the Columbia Broadcasting System, and it was a major jump. It would be like going from college to the big leagues. And there I was in the same place that had produced Edward R. Murrow and Arthur Godfrey and all kinds of people who went from there to network stardom. So it was an overwhelming beginning for a kid off the campus, and I'll never forget it.
How soon before you got the Dodger job, and how did that happen?
Well, when I left WTOP, I was what they called a summer announcer. I was replacing each announcer as he went on vacation, which was a great experience because I was doing early morning disc jockey, late night classical, everything unimaginable. So then they told me that they were going to give me a permanent job in February. Oh, I thought, that's marvelous. And they said, here's a letter of introduction to a couple of people. Maybe you'll get a job. This was like November. And so I went back to New York, and one of the letters was to the news director at CBS, who was very kind, very nice. And eventually, as we hear the guitar in the background for the national anthem, he finally said, you know, why don't you see Red Barber? So I went to see Red Barber, and he was very kind, putting his coat and hat on, and he said, my wife is circling the block on Madison Avenue. Leave your name with the girl at the desk, which I did. And a few days later, I came home, and my Irish, red-haired, excitable mother said, oh, Vinny, you will never guess who called. And I said, no, Mom, who? And she said, Red Skelton. And I said, no, I don't think so. Could it have been Red Barber? And anyway, there was an emergency. I went to Fenway Park in Boston, did a football game. Then, God bless him, Ernie Harwell left Brooklyn to go to the Giants, and Red decided, you know, I kind of like to take a young broadcaster and mold him into a sports announcer, and he opted for me after doing the football game, and as they say, the rest is history.
And an incredible history, 61 years. And I was thinking about this as I was coming to the ballpark today. When you started in 1950, now, all these years later, cell phones, iPads, all these computers. I mean, are you still hip to that stuff, or?
Well, I have the computer, and I carry a small phone, but I'm computer ignorant. I have some great friends who travel with the ball club who help me out whenever I get mixed up. But I think of my mother, God rest her soul. She was around the corner as a 16-year-old when the Irish Republican Army rebelled in Dublin, Easter Sunday of 1916. She lived to see, among other things, a man walking on the moon. Now, that's really covering some territory. So the cell phones and all the other stuff, it's nice, though, very convenient.
Do you still love the game? Do you still get excited for every game? Yankees, Dodgers today. Are you excited?
Right now, I'm pretty normal, calm, and everything else. But when the Dodgers take the field and the crowd roars, suddenly I will be brought to life. My inner being will surface, and then I will be excited. And during the course of the game, whenever there's an exciting play and I get goosebumps, I know that the love is still there.
61 years, how many more?
61 more, I'm thinking of.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I've just decided, right this minute, I've decided to live to be about 135, and I'll work another 60 years.
Do you have a favorite moment, Vin, in all the years you've done?
Not a favorite. There have been a lot of them. I've been so fortunate, whether it was the Dodgers winning their only World Championship in Brooklyn, or maybe sweeping the Yankees out here, maybe Sandy Koufax's perfect game, Don Larson's perfect game, Aaron breaking Babe Ruth's. I mean, I've had a bunch of them, but it's not anything that I did. I just happened to be there when the great things occurred. So as I say, there are a lot that I cherish as great moments.
Now, final thing for all you people out there, this is going to frustrate you because Vin told me the story on my radio show. There was a time when you were offered the Yankee job. You could have been, I could have still been writing if you had taken that job.
Well, I'm not sure, but I'll put it this way. A friend of mine in the advertising business who was involved with the Yankees, and God bless him, Mel Allen was having some physical problems, I remember. And we came to New York. It was shortly after the Mets had come to life. And he called me and said, I'd like to have lunch. I have something I want to talk to you about. And I said, sure. So I went to have lunch, and he said, let me ask you a question. He said, would you consider coming back to New York and doing the Yankee games? And I thought, whoa, that's a bolt out of the blue. Let me think about it, and I'll give you a call back. And I thought a little bit about it, but by this time I had fallen in love with the O'Malley family and with the Dodgers. I had been with them since the winter of '49, and I was married, my children, we loved Southern California, and it was an easy decision, none I would not regret in the least. And I called him and said, you know, I've thought about it and I appreciate it, but I'm going to be very happy where I am.
I just got to tell you, I am so honored. I mean, you are the gold standard for all of us, and to give me this 5 minutes, I can't thank you enough, and I really have goosebumps just thinking about talking to you.
Michael, you're very kind. I am the most ordinary guy in the whole world who's just been so fortunate to do what I love to do for all these years. So I thank God, and that's it.
And now that we have the baseball ticket, we actually could hear you in New York all the time, so that's a treat for us.
Well, maybe we'll keep you awake, because I know you'll be late when you're listening to us.
Well, that's the great Vin Scully. I call him the voice of baseball. There's no one that's ever been better at this job. So back to you, Chris.
Mr. Scully, you may think you're ordinary, but to us, you are extraordinary. Michael, thank you very much for that. Coming up, the Rays are trying